Hello and welcome to our second episode of Season 4 of Hill Climb Diaries, the series which is all about what we like to get up to during the UK hill climb season. I have just about recovered from a wet and windy edition of Bristol South Cycling Club's Burrington Hill Climb, which is an absolute classic fixture of the Southwest hill climb racing scene and one of our favourite races, with it being my 5th time doing this race.
Unfortunately, it just wasn't to be my season this year, as I picked up a pretty nasty cold just days before the much anticipated race. So I decided not to race it and listen to my body and focus on my recovery instead.
Don't worry, however, because we have a new star to Hill Climb Diaries as friend of the channel, all-round hitter Alice Thompson stepped in to take Felix's place, though no one ever could take the place of his beautiful head of hair. Now, before we get stuck into the racing action, I'm going to, as promised, talk you all through the Sapphire Darling, my beloved steel road bike which I've been riding this season. We'll then get the full scoop from the race and then speak to Alice Thompson about her very, very tasty Canyon Ultimate and talk a little bit about some of the advocacy she's been doing to promote women's racing and in particular hill climbs here in the UK.
As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time we upload a new video.
As you will have all seen by now, this is the bike I am riding for the 2021 hill climb season and is indeed the bike I've been riding for the last few months. Ever the contrarian, this is not your typical hill climb bike, and as you can see, it is made of steel. I built this bike up a couple of months ago because I wanted a go-fast road bike. Now, while I had lots of nice parts kicking around, I didn't have a frame to put them all on. So I put a call out to my beloved Instagram followers and eventually found this wonderful Lee Cooper 653 frame set from 1994. Cooper is one of the most well-respected frame builders in the whole of the UK. I got in touch with Cooper to try and find out as much as I could about the origins of this bike. Unfortunately, he lost the original build logs for his workshop in 2003. Cooper was, however, able to confirm, looking at the stamping on the bottom bracket shell of this bike, that this was the 7th frame he made in August of 1994, which makes this bike only 2 and a bit years younger than me. Now, in the years since this bike was originally built, it has seriously done the rounds through the London fixed gear and single speed cycling forums. Looking through various buy and sell threads on the forum, I was able to identify that the bike was originally black before getting a red respray around 7 years ago. Then, last year, as part of a lockdown project, a lovely man called Tom Wood, who goes by Pass Hunting on Instagram, ended up with a frame where he painted it in this lovely, resplendent electric blue. His build was broadly similar to mine, but the bike didn't quite work out to him, and now it's ended up with me. The frame itself is absolutely beautiful. Much like me, it is simple, elegant, and skinny. The top tube is a remarkably skinny 25.4mm across in diameter, or 1 inch if you prefer. The down tube is similarly skinny at 28.6mm in diameter. One of my favourite things about the tube set was that it was offered with domed ends at the ends of the tubes. This gives the bike a really lovely smooth transition as it moves from the tubes to the dropouts and the frame ends. Likewise, the fillet brazing around the head tube as well as the seat tube cluster is absolutely lovely and gives the frame a really organic overall look. For me though, the real highlight of the frame is that absolutely stunning stiletto straight leg fork. As well as looking amazing, it is astonishingly flexible, and when you're braking or riding over rough ground, you can see the whole thing fluttering back and forth like a bird's wing. It is pretty unnerving the first time you ride it, but I've quickly learned that it's fine. And I've done some pretty spicy descents on this bike, and I have full confidence in it. The frame is showing its age in some places though. There's a small crack at the base of the ears, where the seat clamp is basically, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on that in the months to come, but I'm sure it's going to be fine because it's a good long seat post in there. Likewise, the dropout for the rear derailleur, the threads are absolutely mashed on that, but it has a clever problem solver's insert which is being pressed in and allows you to just screw the derailleur in as normal. In time, I will get all of these things repaired, and more likely than not, I will also get the bike repainted in a lovely new colour. In terms of the build, I have to say I have really got a pretty fancy shed, so I managed to pull some lovely bits from bikes new and old. The highlight of the build has got to be the Cane Creek EE brakes, which were previously on my Fixie. As well as being fabulously light, these brakes are also genuinely great, and if you set them up right, they have bucket loads of power. Moving up, you'll see we have an old school threaded headset and a quill stem. I have no issue with quill stems and no issue with threaded headsets whatsoever. They work absolutely fine. In terms of stiffness, I really don't think there's much in it between, a normal threadless steer arrangement and this. I admit to being 100% hashtag influenced by Simon Bromley, and I am definitely a convert to narrow bars on a bike like this. I am not a narrow-minded man, but I am quite a narrow man, and I find the narrower bars overall fit me a lot better, and they're more comfortable, and they're more aero. There's no disadvantages as far as I'm concerned. Another highlight of the build is the down tube front derailleur shifter. Basically, my left-hand shifter was broken. I spent a load of time trying to fix it, quickly gave up, gutted the left-hand shifter, and bought a down tube shifter for £5 on eBay. Unless you are riding somewhere particularly lumpy, you actually don't shift your front derailleur that often. So normally, bang it in the big ring, smash about, and I'm golden. Now that mindset sits in quite stark contrast when you consider I have a £390 saddle on this bike. Currently I'm testing this saddle. It is the Specialized Roman Evo Pro with mirror saddle, and I'm almost frustrated to say, as I said in Tech of the Month, I really like this saddle a lot. I really hope this tech comes down in price in years to come, because I do think it has a bright future and it's almost enough to pull me away from my beloved Pro Stealth Superlight. I have a set of rotor Aldu cranks with a 5236 chainring setup. I have no particularly strong feelings on Q-rings, which a lot of people ask me about. I am just using these because I had them in a shed. In any case, I love the way these cranks look, and I'm not a very fast cyclist, so looking good on a bike and having a good looking bike is almost more important. Finally, I'm running a set of 25mm wide GP 5000 tyres. They're very, very fast tyres, and I could fit something lighter. I do actually ride this bike a lot. It's not just for hill climbs, and this is a good all-round option, which is fast and relatively hard wearing. I have written a full article on this bike for BikeRadar, and you can read my thoughts about it on there, but as a brief kind of summary of its ride quality, I would liken it to a wet baguette filled with cooked pasta. I think that's about as close as I can possibly bring you to describing the experience of stepping on this bike, but I do not hate that ride quality at all. If anything, I think that flexible ride just makes for a simply beautifully comfortable bike. And when you're seated, it is this most corseting, wonderful, smooth ride. And for long days in the saddle, smashing out in the drops, it is delightful. As you can probably tell, I really like this bike. And the Sapphire Darling, as it is known on my Strava, has quickly cemented itself as one of my favourite bikes of all time. It is very, very me. It's quite contrarian, it's not perfect in any way, but compromise breeds adventure, and that's what I'm looking for in my bikes. Now you can see me storm to the course record and the overall victory on the most flexible bike of all time when we jump to Burrington Combe and today's race. Good morning, one and all. Today we are at Burrington Combe, which today plays host to the hill climb organised by our adoptive, beloved club, Bristol South. It is a very brisk day, which I'm quite sad about, as we were spoilt to a very sunny day at our previous hill climb, but saddest of all, Felix isn't here. He has a cold, he's feeling very, very poorly, so unfortunately it's just going to be me flying the BikeRadar flag today. However, we have got good friend of BikeRadar, women's cycling advocate, and all-round hitter, and former women's Everesting record holder, Alice Thompson, who's going to be subbing in, telling us about how she gets on today and talking us through her delicious custom canyon. Of my previous 5 times here, I've done it on a huge variety of bikes, from Joe's old Scott Addict. I ended up having hassle with a bike one year and I borrowed my friend Rich's winter bike. I've done it on my Fixie, done it on all sorts of bikes, but today I'm doing it on my lovely old Lee Cooper custom steel bike, and I'm looking forward to having gears on this year's race. As you can see, it's actually raining, and I haven't done a rainy hill climb since 2017. I've been spoilt with warm, lovely warm-ups for this year so far, so I'm sure once I get up and down that road a few times, get the heart pumping, I'll be very sweaty and ready to go. Number 36, please, Rob. There we go. I've just left Cowbell Corner and I've rolled down the gorge, and I'm down at the cafe at the bottom, and I am so cold. It is so cold this morning. I don't have enough clothes on. Oh, this is so grim.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Up. He's kneeling down to let people off harder than any hill climb you've ever done.
Everyone has their battles, and this is the toughest mountain I've ever had to climb.
I don't even know what gear I'm in, hang on.
GT! Go!
36! Oh, that was so horrible. I feel so sick. More like blood in the mouth. I managed to really keep it a little bit in for the finish. You're gonna have to lie down, Ollie.
Might be sick.
But back down to the car now, get a jacket on because I'm gonna get so cold so quickly.
How was that?
Oh, it was horrible, Robin, it was horrible. Yep, so that was every bit as horrible as usual. Wasn't quite as bad as previous years though. Gears definitely helped, but really windy day today. So even though I think my power, well, I have a power meter, it was okay, like it was not a fast day. I don't think anyone will be troubling the course record today. Now I'm ready to change my shoes because my feet feel like little blocks of ice, and heckle Alice as she comes up in a few minutes.
Do you have any words of wisdom, Jay? No wisdom.
Don't listen to me about it.
So that's us all wrapped up, and I'm here with fellow Bristol South club member and all-round hitter, Alice Thompson. First off, Alice, how did you get on today?
Yeah, really good. It wasn't super fast. It's not a very fast day. It's quite headwindy and a bit wet, but I think I paced it well. Power was decent. Had a really good surge around the Cowbell Corner, so all good.
Well, you looked good on Cowbell Corner, and going fast there is the most important thing of all. Now, you've long been an advocate for women's cycling, but definitely hill climbing specifically. Yeah. And we've had a very, very almost equal looking start list today. You must be pretty pleased to see things kind of getting better in that regard.
Yeah, it's so good to see how far it's come. I rode my first hill climb in 2017, and I think there are about 3 women on the start list. So today, to be like in the middle of a stacked field and like the whole season actually in this sort of Western series, the calibre of riding's been incredible, and I actually love it that I've been beaten by like 3 or 4 women from my club, and that would have never happened like 4 years ago. So it's really great to see, and sort of onwards and upwards.
We're also very smug to say that Bristol South has long been in favour and has promoted equal prize money for both men's and women. So must be, given it's something you've talked about quite a lot, must be very proud of it for the club.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. We were doing it like before it was cool. We've made it a commitment as a club to always do it at our events now, and we also really try and do like prizes for junior riders to kind of encourage that next generation to come up, and we also always at Burrington have a lantern rouge, so celebrating the person who spent the most time on the climb as well.
Now today you were also riding your very, very tasty custom Canyon Ultimate. I mean, this is a bike I've long admired. Tell us how you ended up with such a delightful bike.
So I bought the bike off a junior boy on eBay because it's quite hard to come across light bikes that are small enough for people my height, and then I sort of lucked out, and Shimano offered to rebuild it for me with a load of fancy parts and like paint it a nice colour.
I should dive in here because you're saying that you were lucky enough, but it was well earned because you were also once the women's Everesting record holder, so I think it was something to do with that.
Yeah, it was something to do with that. That does feel like I was a different person when that happened. It was a lot of reps of Nash Hill in Bristol, but yeah, that was how that came about. And then for hill climbs, I've just taken off my bottle cages and swapped out for some really light wheels, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's a full Dura-Ace group set on there, you know, quite a nice standard 2-piece cockpit. You know, I gave this a little lift. Yeah. Not a heavy bike. What does it weigh in at?
Oh God, I really don't know. I actually have no idea.
Well, that just goes to show it's not the most important thing. Now the Nationals course, as you mentioned, is ludicrously steep. Yeah. I've been up it once before. I can confirm it is vertiginous. And you're kind of talking about gearing for the event to try and keep a high cadence. What are you kind of planning for the big day?
So I recce'd, I went up Winnets on Wednesday, and I tried to do an easy effort, but I absolutely couldn't because it's so steep. And then I did a hard one, and my cadence was really low. It was like 47, 48 average. At the lowest it was like 40. I was properly chewing the handlebars. So I'm hoping to change around my front chain rings. At the moment I've got a 52-36, and I'd like to get the lowest one to a 30. So then I'll be running a 30-30, and hopefully that will give me enough to get some cadence and some efficiency going up Winnets.
Thank you very much, Alice. It's been a pleasure racing with you today, and all the best for Nationals. And if you have any questions about Alice's bike, leave those in the comments.
We really hope you enjoyed this season of Hill Climb Diaries. We really love to give it everything, but while I missed out on this occasion, I'm already thinking about next year. And with that in mind, do let us know what you'd like to see in 2022. Maybe you want to see even more wild hairstyles, and maybe even more lightweight tech. So let us know in the comments below.
In the meantime, do keep your eyes peeled on the channel, as we will be bringing you a top 5 roundup of the coolest bikes from the 2021 Hill Climb National Championships, including a close look at the bike of Tom Bell, friend of the channel and the guy we spoke to last time about our training. Do subscribe to the channel so you get a notification when that video is uploaded. And don't forget to like and leave any comments or questions below. We do read them, we do love them, and send your very best to poorly Felix, as I've no doubt it will speed up his recovery.
Bye!